welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your cards for June. I apologize for being a little bit behind schedule this month, but with all of the energy that we're dealing with as a collective, it's been a little bit hard for me to focus, and I just do not like to put out readings that don't have my full attention and concentration on them. So I do hope you understand the delay. Looking at your cards and the astrology, June seems to be a very karmic month for my Aries. And there's a lot of eclipses, there's a lot of unusual activity at this time. Obviously, it's playing out collectively. But ultimately, the bad stuff leads to the good stuff. Now, we certainly don't want to make light of the difficult things, you know, the emotions that they bring up in us, or you know, the struggles that we have to work around, you know, but the idea is it's not in vain, that things will come of this, that change is coming. And it's like that in our personal lives as well. And like I said, I'm struggling to finish these readings at a time like this because, of course, there's a part of me that feels like priorities have shifted. All of a sudden, the little things, the petty arguments, the things that typically would piss you off or kind of throw a wrench in your day seem really minor compared to the things that are going on in the outside world. And so it's a struggle. It was a struggle for me because I'm thinking, why would anybody want to hear about, you know, how it's going to go in your relationships or what's going to happen this month at work or in your career when all of this is happening? And then I was reminded of how important it is that we all maintain a high vibration at this time. I know that sounds absolutely impossible and insane, but it is the truth. And you may find that through all of the chaos going on collectively, our personal lives might actually start to come together. Eclipses have a funny way of doing that because the eclipse season happens a couple times a year, usually in the summer and then December and January. This year is particularly intense, but it's when the divine steps in and kind of takes over and helps you get out of a rut. It helps you to say the things you've been needing to say. It helps you to make the commitments. It helps to change your mind and see things in a different perspective. It has the power to remove people in your life that are holding you back, or to put people in your life that will help you excel. It's a really potent time. And the thing is, even though it's hard to focus on the little things, to focus on our lives and to keep our vibrations high at this time, it's imperative that we do so, because that is how we heal. When our personal lives start to come together, when we feel heard, when we feel supported, when we feel confident and comfortable in our own skin, when those things start to come together, our vibration rises, and that is what heals the world. And it's contagious. It's just as contagious as a virus. So is hate. So is negativity. So you want to be careful this month. And I say that doubly because the cards coming up are a lot about communication and thoughts. And you know, your thoughts will create your reality. So you want to be really careful that you're in a good, positive place. that you're not operating from a place of self-doubt or self-loathing. You're not hearing those voices in your head saying you're not capable, you're not good enough, this will never work out. You know, when you hear or start to feel those things, you really need to shut it off. You really need to recognize that that is your ego. And your ego is not serving you. Now, the ego will serve you to keep you protected, but the ego doesn't know the difference. The ego operates on a primal level. You know, we talk about that lizard brain. So the ego could cause you to protect yourself from really awesome opportunities. And that's where we begin to know the difference between our ego and our intuition. And I think that's a really important lesson for you this month. Aries, you're coming out as a Page of Swords. And this is an energy that is pretty substantial because it means things start to lighten up. You start to operate from a place not so much of fear. There's not so much worry over what needs to be said and what needs to be done. We're not buried in responsibilities and stress. When we're in a Page of Swords element, you know, there's a childlike innocence to this, where we just say the things that need to be said, right? There's no hesitation. Now, as we go through the month, some of the transits will be working against Saturn, which is retrograde. And it could cause a lot of hesitation and self-doubt. But I don't know. I see you overcoming that. And especially hopeful because next to the Page of Swords, your environment is that of the Hanged Man in reverse. Now, I cannot remember what other sign got this. I'm not sure if it was Pisces. I honestly can't remember. But this is an element of decisiveness. Now, if you were in a situation, maybe a job or, you know, a partner that was kind of indecisive, holding up the show, if you're waiting on offers to come in, waiting for people to reach out, June's going to get extremely active. And it's not going to be hard for you to make decisions. And I also see this as it's not going to be hard for the people around you to make decisions. We're all getting in an element of getting our life going, doing the things. And, you know, we couldn't do those things earlier in the year because the energy was so dense. It was so hard. We were stuck. There was an element of feeling, you know, a little bit hopeless, a little bit held down and oppressed. Funny, I should say that now, right? But now it seems like communication and action comes a little bit easier. And I think that's what's going to improve all of the elements in your life in June and throughout the rest of the year. This is definitely a turning point. Your astrology card you got is the air element, again reflecting on the importance of communication and your thoughts, your decisiveness. The communication card comes up, the air element card comes up sometimes when decisions are being made. We're going to talk about that in a second because it's repeated in your 9-card block. But the air element of communication means that your thoughts and your words are important at this time, that they need to be heard. Now is the time for you to position for yourself. There's a lot of energy coming out in these cards, and I may be skipping around a little bit because of the way of the flow of this reading. But ultimately, this month is about Aries. It's about you. It's about your needs, deciding what you need and what you want in your life, and then allowing those things to come to you. You may be moving out of a little bit of a deceptive, self-deceptive mode. starting to kind of take charge and take control. There's areas where you're no longer going to settle for bullshit. There's areas of your life where you're going to demand that your needs and wants be met, and that's okay. That's really healthy. I don't see Aries settling for anything less than what they deserve, and that's a refreshing kind of feeling. And there's a lot of internal stuff here as well, as to dealing with what you deserve, what you're going to allow yourself to achieve. I think you're getting over a fear of success. So the first card out in the 9 card block is a Leo card, 6 of Wands. This talks about victory. This talks about the ego, of course, but it's not, I'm not picking up a negative vibe from this, you know, like the need for an ego check. I'm just thinking that this is you really moving forward confidently, moving forward regardless of who is on board with you. And he comes out next to the 2 of Swords. The 2 of Swords is a decision that needs to be made. And it's not a decision that's easy. You see, she's blindfolded. She's holding 2 swords very close to her heart. We're in Gemini season in your 3rd house. There may be 2 different situations that you're dealing with. Maybe 2 people you're deciding, making a decision again on 2 different people that you're dating. Maybe 2 different job offers, maybe 2 different houses that you're looking at. You know, always in this kind of a Gemini season, and especially when Venus is retrograde, and by the way, this is your 3rd house of communication that this is all happening in. There's always going to be 2 things. And you'll also notice this month, ironically, that you will be having to do things twice, to say things twice, to, you know, even if like an email gets lost or something and you have to resend it. The crazy thing is, whenever the universe is asking you to do it again, they're asking you to take a different perspective. Hanged Man in reverse. Take a different perspective. Here's an opportunity to look at this a little bit differently. In this, we get mastery. And this decision card is coming out with the 10 of Cups. So this is a lot about what do you want, Aries. This is a lot about reaching that point in your life where it becomes about you. What do you want? Do you want the family, the house, the children, the happily ever after? And what does that look like? Who is that with? What kind of partner does that involve? You know, I think this could just be figuring out who you are in the beginning of the month. Now we're starting out with a Sagittarius eclipse. Then we're moving into an eclipse in Cancer. Now this is your 4th house, and your 9th house is going to get hit with eclipses. So your 4th house does have to do with home, and your 9th house does have to do with your beliefs, religious beliefs, environmental beliefs, you know, just your thought processes in general. It could also represent going back to school, going back home. Maybe you're looking at moving or taking a journey in which you could be closer to your family again. You know, we're all still dealing, you know, the past couple of days, coronavirus has kind of taken a back seat. But in reality, we're all still sort of on the fence of like, you know, are we opened up? Are we allowed to go outside? Are we allowed to travel? Can we get on an airplane? And I see this in a couple of my readings where situations may change because we can't travel as easily anymore. And maybe that's changing your perspective. The 6 of Wands comes out above the Four of Swords. And I like this. I like this for you because I see this as you not rushing in, not being hasty, not making spontaneous decisions. Now, the air element card can represent spontaneity. But I think in most cases you're really taking your time. Like I said, there's just this overwhelming feeling for me that Aries is really getting to know themselves again. Maybe you have been sick. Maybe your life has changed drastically with everything that's been going on. Like I said, your perspective has shifted. You have become a new person. There's been this transformation. And in order to move gracefully through this transition, you really have to take the time to get to know yourself, get to understand who you are and what you want from this point of view. The Two of Swords is sitting above the Seven of Swords in reverse. This is where you step into an element of confidence and you stop self-sabotaging things. You stop deceiving yourself. And this comes out next to the Four of Wands, Aries. So there may be a real awakening. There might be an awakening to whether or not, if you are in a relationship or in a commitment or you hold a contract at a job, it may be time to sort of look at this in a realistic manner. If you have put people or things or situations kind of up on a pedestal and kind of idealized them at this time, things need to settle down. Now, I'm not saying things are going to end. This could just be where you want something so badly that you're actually afraid to express your feelings about it. And maybe, although I had just said that I like the Four of Swords underneath that Six of Wands, because whatever decisions you're making is kind of coming from within in this really healthy place where you know yourself again. But I could also see this as where if you have been hesitant to tell somebody how you feel, hesitant to make a commitment, now you're realizing that your lack of action is actually a decision. You don't want to miss out on an opportunity here. And so there's a very fine line between being hesitant and being spontaneous. Aries is being asked to kind of walk a tightrope this month. The idea ultimately is to get out of fear and to communicate your feelings. But it seems to be a little bit of a process for you. It could be a little bit scary. You could have to be a little bit vulnerable. And the Four of Swords over the Five of Cups means that there's fear. There's fear of loss, Look at the contrast between the Six of Wands, where he moves so confidently and people are looking to him as a leader. And then we get this rest, this break. Maybe there's a break in a relationship. Maybe there's a pause in a job. Maybe there's a need to get away and go on vacation and to just kind of take a break from life, from reality, so you could think clearly. Because there's a real contrast between the Six of Wands and the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups represents an energy of feeling guilty, of feeling loss. maybe when you reach a point of success, there are things you have to leave behind. Like I said, if you're looking at moving to a new location, the Five of Cups is kind of feeling sorry for the things that you have to leave. I don't see you staying in the Five of Cups for too long. That just seems to be a little bit of a moment within the month. But it does lead to good things, because he comes out next to the Nine of Cups. So whenever you find yourself in this energy, the Five of Cups energy, where you're focusing on the things that you've lost, on people and places in the past, how you may have failed or made mistakes in the past. We're in a retrograde period from hell. I don't know how else to put it. Almost every single planet is retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde in the month of June. And then, ironically, at the very end of June, Venus will move back into forward motion, but Neptune, who she's been doing this dance with, this square, all month long, will then move into retrograde. So there's really no relief. We're being forced to look at our past decisions of people. People might be coming to you from the past. You might get messages. You might run into people. They may be coming to you in the dream state as well. Four of Swords. You might be having dreams about someone or something from your past, because it just quite simply needs to be healed. It doesn't necessarily mean reunions and getting back together. It's just an opportunity. And you have to remember, even if someone else has hurt you and you get stuck in the pain and resentment, you have the power to let that go and forgive. You don't have to wait for someone else to apologize. This is where humans become... I tell this to my son all the time. He's 6 years old, and he's always really into superheroes. And so we talk about what a superhero is and what each person's superhero powers are. And I think there is a lot of power in the ability to forgive. Even if somebody hasn't apologized to you, even if you're holding on to resentments from somebody who doesn't even think they were wrong in the first place, you give other people a lot of power over you in that manner. And so it's important to do the ceremonial forgiving thing. They don't have to be a part of it. And in that, you also have to forgive yourself. If you are dealing with a partner in the past that cheated on you, there may be a deeper link there in the need to forgive yourself for having fallen for the deception, right? When I look at this, the Five of Cups, the Seven of Swords, and the Ten of Cups, if you were in a situation that you thought was perfect and it ended up not being perfect, that person lied to you, they deceived you, you might be mad at yourself for falling for it. And that needs to be left behind. Leave that for, the first half of 2020, because the second half, there's no time for that. We are securing our future. We're building new things, and we're letting the past go. And so you need to exercise your ability to forgive yourself and others at this time, and realize that that element will only hold you back. You can't be held back this month. You're in an air element. It's light. It's quick. It's time to make quick, fast decisions. And quite simply, this is a card that holds you back, and it's the only card in this entire spread where I see a dense energy or a heaviness. I don't think it's going to last too long. The Five of Cups comes out next to the Nine of Cups, meaning that once you do that whole exercise of forgiveness, you come back to yourself stronger than ever. And the Nine of Cups leads to the Three of Pentacles. There's a new perspective that takes place, and you are even more willing to build future and to cooperate and to collaborate with others. This final row here that I'm looking at, the Ten of Cups, the Four of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles. This is all about reaching the ultimate destination, the ultimate goal, finding the person. Now, I don't know if all of that is going to happen in June, but you're setting yourself up. You're putting yourself in the mindset to be very, very successful. Ten of Cups is kind of that dream coming true. Four of Wands is a card of stability and commitment. And the Three of Pentacles is when you start making plans for the future. So if this is all representing one relationship that's kind of gone through a rocky period, it was so that both of you can understand the bigger picture and move forward. Your animal spirit cards for the month is you start out the month as a buffalo. And this is what I'm saying. It's like you have a leg up. You're already spiritually grounded and making the decisions, the responsible decisions that need to be made. The buffalo spirit is that of perseverance and wisdom at the same time. It's knowing what direction you're moving in, and therefore you cannot be stopped. This is kind of when fate comes in and pushes you over the finish line. You move from that to that of an eagle. And this represents the air element. You're going from an earth element to really making things happen. And in your words and your thoughts are so important this month, Aries. Say the things that you want to say, and also listen. It's also extremely important to listen this month, because if nothing else, the universe is speaking to you and showing you the way. You are being guided. The Eagle card is that of a card of divine intervention, of where your guides and your spirits are showing you the path. And it's easy. It's not difficult. You're moving out of a difficult phase of feeling like you have to drag this energy with you, like there's so much responsibility. You lighten up and you just become determined to move towards your goal in a really healthy way. The oracle you got. The one inside who is aware that you are always talking to yourself about yourself is always silent. It is a doorway to the depths of your being. Yeah, pay attention to your thoughts this month. If you're having negative thoughts, if you're having self-doubts, if you're stuck in a place of, I really want to make an offer to this person, but I should probably, like you could think ridiculous things like, I'm going to lose 5 pounds first. Or I can't talk to this person right now because, my hair doesn't look good, You can't think like that this month. You really have to be on your feet, and you really have to be supportive of yourself. You've got to come into this month with that 6 of Wands confidence, because people are seeing you that way. They're looking to you to be a leader, and self-doubt isn't going to get anybody anywhere. I did pull some romance cards because of the Venus retrograde, because of the retrograde Mercury going on. This could be definitely a time where relationships are, I don't want to say tumultuous, because I really think that they're finding their place, that they're all coming together now. Relationships that aren't healthy for you will just sort of fall away, and the ones that are will gravitate to you. Now, this tells me if you've been in a connection with someone You're going from the Eight of Chalices. This is, this is where self-doubt creeps in. The Eight of Chalices in this particular deck, because it's different than the Rider-Waite deck. The Eight of Cups represents getting to know somebody. And you may not be trusting at first, but you come to find out that you can be. You begin to find safety, and you're able to communicate and talk about those feelings and be vulnerable. The Five of Swords is a lot about mental conflict. It's a lot about maybe the outside world shaking up your relationship. Like I said, people coming in from the past can kind of shake up what you've got going on right now, but not in a bad way. It just kind of helps you to figure things out, to figure yourself out. I think it prompts you to forgive yourself and to let go of a lot of that energy that holds you back until you could reach that Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles is having everything that you want. So whatever shake-ups or, whatever tough stuff you have to face within a connection this month will ultimately lead you to a higher commitment, to a better understanding of each other, a setting of goals, and a collaborating together. So it's not negative at all. Take it as an opportunity to improve the situation. Use your words this month, Aries. Make sure you're real careful with your mind and how you're thinking about yourself. Ultimately, when the air element comes up, you are manifesting. So you want to manifest the really good things. You want to manifest the Four of Wands and the Ten of Cups. You don't want to manifest the Five of Cups. So whenever this slips into your mind, let it go. It's an exercise, and it will get easier the more it's done. You've got to learn to control that voice in your head that says this won't work out, it's not meant for you, because it is. All right, Aries, I have a feeling June's going to be a pretty amazing month for you, and I'm looking forward to your July reading already. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Be kind and compassionate to others, and play the role you're meant to play to change the world. Lots of love, Aries. Bye.